Alright, sentence completion. There are, on the current SATs, there's 19 sentence completion questions on there. And if you get all of them right, and omit everything else, I actually think your raw score is, what's it called? The converted score is pretty high. It's around like 410 or 400. It's actually surprisingly high. So, CENTCOM is actually very, very important. And I'm going to call it CENTCOM from now on. It's just a bridge, for sentence completion. One thing for sure is you need to know the vocab, and there's just no way around it. I mean, you could guess all you want, but I mean, you're basically blindly guessing if you don't have a set amount of vocabulary that you know. And how can you improve on it? You just have to read a lot, or you could just brute force study the vocabulary words. Use roots, mnemonics. I mean, watch my other videos on how you should go about and studying vocabulary. But on sentence completion alone, there are really no strategies except that some of the questions, not all of them, they give you hints and try to follow the hints. So try to surmise, and I'm going to try to use SAT words while I'm trying to teach this. Surmise means to guess. Try to surmise what should fit in there before you actually even look at the answer choices. So let's look at this one right now. It says the football team knew they deserved to be admonished. Right? And here's a word that's probably harder than normal, and you don't know what that means, but this is the hint in this case, right? Deserved to be admonished, but they did not expect to be blanked so harshly. Another hint, right? When their coach spoke to them. So you should first think, is this a positive or a negative sentence, right? It's a really, really negative sentence. It gives you a hint in this word, harshly, right? It was harshly. Coach spoke to him harshly. So why would the coach, speak to him harshly? Because, football team didn't do well. Right, and they were admonished. And admonished, you just have to find the word out of the 5 answer choices, something similar to this. And SAT is actually really, really good. I know a lot of people criticize the SAT, saying that they're actually getting rid of the sentence completion section on the 2016 SATs, but I actually wish they didn't, because on the GREs, and which is the graduate record exam, right? That's what you need to go to graduate school. They actually have more CENTCOM on there, so it's really not going away. So in my opinion, they're actually dumbing down the test. I don't think it's necessarily too bad, or it's really bad to study the vocab. But in any case, on the SAT's current SAT CENTCOM section, they actually give you words that are very, very similar sometimes, which can be tricky, but I actually think they're trying to do the right thing. So out of the 5 answer choices that they give you, right, 5 answer choices that they give you, you should eliminate what doesn't make any sense, right? Usually 2 of them are garbage. So which one is garbage over here? Well, obviously you can't have a positive word as an answer, so it can't be C. Acclaim is praise, right? They're receiving a lot of acclaim, receiving a lot of praise, so you can't have that because it's a negative thing. So we could definitely get rid of C. What else can you get rid of? Right? Alright, so let's look at it. And you could probably get rid of, this is tough, right? These are tough sets of words, but I guess I'll just go through them. Let's look at E and Y. E should, go away. E probably doesn't work because the root culpa, right? The root culpa over here, which means what, right? And check out my lesson on roots and vocab. But culpa is a root for fault, right? Right? Fault or blame. So you could probably think of a really common word like culprit, right? Who's the culprit, right? Or who is culpable, right? Who can we blame, right? Who's blamable? But X in this case means no more. So exculpated means we remove the blame, right? So if we remove the blame, why would the coach be so pissed, right? Why would he be admonishing people, right? So it can't be E. What about A and B? A and B, really, really close. I mean, this one letter is changing everything. Blandish and brandish, right? L versus R, completely different meaning. Blandish means you're kind of being fulsome, you're, being servile. It basically means that, you're complimenting people and you're acting very, very fawning and toady, right? As opposed to brandish, like you're brandishing a sword, means you're waving something around, right? A sword, it could be a sword you're waving around, or it could be, let's say you want a trophy and you're brandishing a trophy in front of your friends. That's what it means. But both of them actually don't mean that. I mean, the coach would not be fawning the team if they did well or if they had done well. So it can't be A or B. So you're only left with D. The answer is D. And reprimand means to criticize. Admonish can mean two things. And remember, SAT actually teach. They really want you to know the nuance in words. Admonish can mean one, criticize. Right? But two, admonish can mean earnestly advise. It doesn't necessarily have to mean criticize. But in this case, that's what it means. So the answer is D. So how can you do this if you didn't know the vocabulary words? Right? It'd be really, really difficult. You could guess all you want, but, in the long run, it'll average out your score and it'll be lower. You can get lucky here and there, but it really won't work. Another thing is, CENTCOM is actually one of the few things, I actually think it's the only thing, that goes in order of difficulty. So if you have question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say in a section, the most difficult question, or the question with the hardest words, will probably be number 5. So if they give you a word like this, that's a hint, right? But sometimes the sentence will be super easy. Right? It'll be super easy, and the answer usually would be hard, right? And vice versa. That's what they usually do. So study the vocab and practice a lot of questions. I think we have several hundred, if not over 1,000 on the site. So you could hopefully improve with the vocabulary. After winning Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Myung-oh bought a mansion and drove Lamborghinis. However, by blank his blank, he alienated his friends, right? So the hint in this one is alienate, and he won a lot of money, so he's a millionaire. And this is, these are the transitions that you really need to watch out for. So they're going to have like consequently, which basically means as a result. So something happened because of something else, right? Cause and effect. And this one says, however, means a shift. Right? So what's the shift? He won a lot of money. It's a good thing, but all of a sudden a bad thing happened. And bad thing, however, by blank blank, he alienated his friends. So he became alien to his friends. Alien meaning foreign, right? So think about what belongs here, what kind of words would belong here, and go through the answer choices, right? So by A, enduring means you're going through hardship, he alienated his friends. So, he won a lot of money. Why would he go through hardship? That makes no sense, right? What about B? B says flaunting. So he's showing off his money. Because he's showing off his money, or his wealth, right? Prosperity, wealth. He alienated friends. Well, that sounds like the right answer, but we'll check all of them. What about C? Undermining. Undermining means weakening. Weakening his image. So he's making himself look bad. Why would his friends alienate him? People naturally like to be with people who are of the same level. So if this guy is making himself look bad, maybe it's, why would people alienate him or his friends alienate him? What about D? Calculating his successes. I think this is actually a really close one. He's calculating how much money he won, so or how successful he is, maybe. Right? He alienated his friends. So we'll leave D for a second. What about E? Moderating means he's limiting his how much money he spent. He alienated his friends. So that doesn't work, right? He's not showing off his money. Why would his friends leave him? So the answer has to be between B and D. And what do you think the better answer is? Flaunting means showing off your money because all of a sudden you have money. His friends left him. Or calculating means you're I don't know, you're counting your money, right? Remember, you're always usually left with 2 answer choices, and in this case, the answer would be B. And the point of this section for the CENTCOM lesson is that you really need to watch out for the transitions, and when you have double word questions, all you have to do is, does one fit the other, right? Does it match with the other? And you obviously have to know the vocab. The vocabulary in this one is not as difficult, but what I would like to mention again is that one letter can completely change the meaning of the word. So you have the word flout and flaunt, right? Flaunt means to show off, right? You flaunt your wealth, but flout actually means to reject, right? And I've seen a question where they gave both, and SAT constantly they give you words that are very, very similar. So be careful of that. That is my, again, clarification and warning caveat. Alright, so let's try one last one for the CENTCOM lesson. And this one, And this one is actually really, really tough one. A lot of kids get this one wrong. So think about everything that you learn. And in this one, it has a lot of hard vocab words, but also has the transitions. Plus, it's a double fill in the blank, right? So, although usually polite and blank. So it's and, not a but, right? So it has to be the same things, right? So it has to be the same things, and polite and blank. So you can't have a negative word over here, right? So you can't have, let's see, what can we look at that's, negative? So we can't have D, right? Dismissive, meaning you're rejecting other people's opinions and thoughts, right? So D doesn't work. When meeting friends, Kelly was too reserved, right? She wasn't just reserved, means she's quiet, not sociable. She's very, very, reserved. She's quiet, to be truly blank. So this is a really, really tough question, right? She's polite and something, but, she was too reserved to be something, right? Let's check out all the answer choices. Yeah, she was polite and joyous. Yes, that's good, right? Positive, positive, but conventional, to be too normal. Does that work? Let's come back to that. What about B? She's cordial, means she's very, very warm. And how can you remember this? Learn the roots. COR means heart, right? So she's really, really warm-hearted. She's friendly, right? She's polite and friendly, right? When she was meeting her friends, but she was too reserved. She was too quiet to be truly blank. And effusive means overly expressive of your emotions, right? It's overflowing with emotion. So that can work. Let's check out the other ones just to make sure. What about C? She's polite and restrained, means, she's reserved, right? When meeting her friends, Kelly was too reserved to be ever gracious. I know they give you the word restrain and that matches reserved, but how does that match with polite? Just because you're polite, it doesn't mean you have to be restrained. And gracious means you're doing well at something. You do something very, very smoothly, right? So that doesn't work. What about E? She's very, very genial. Genial means you're sociable, right? Polite and sociable, that works, right? Kelly was too reserved to be truly antisocial. No, that doesn't work because she's naturally kind of, I don't want to say antisocial, but she's reserved. So she was too reserved to be reserved. Does that make any sense? No, that makes no sense at all. So you really only have choice A and B, right? She's joyous and cordial. That matches. But conventional meaning normal and effusive, right? So the better answer probably is B, because why? She's polite and warm-hearted. She's friendly, but she's too reserved to be showing a lot of emotions, right? She's nice. She's a nice person, but we can't consider her to be effusive, overflowing with emotions, because she's reserved. That makes sense, as opposed to just being normal, right? So the answer is B. So this question was really, really tough because they give you a lot of hard vocabulary words, but also this phrase, she's too reserved to be blank. I think that phrase is actually quite difficult.